Have you ever felt like you're being pushed aside, ignored, or even rejected by people around you? You try to fit in, but no matter what you do, you seem to repel others instead of attracting them. It's frustrating, lonely, and painful, isn't it? The truth is, many of us face this struggle at some point in our lives, but rarely do we understand why. The harsh reality is that sometimes it's not about them. It's about us. And facing these uncomfortable truths is the first step to transforming your relationships and your life. In this video, we're diving deep into the reasons why people might be avoiding you and, more importantly, what you can do to change it. These aren't just casual habits, but deeply ingrained behaviors that can drive others away. So, if you're ready to confront these harsh realities and make a real change, let's get started. 1. You're too negative. Negativity is like a poison that spreads through your interactions, affecting not just you but everyone around you. Imagine being around someone who always complains about their job, criticizes others, or finds flaws in everything. How does it make you feel? Drained, frustrated, maybe even hopeless. That's because negativity is contagious. It pulls people into a downward spiral where everything seems worse than it actually is. When you focus solely on what's wrong, you're not just highlighting the negatives, you're magnifying them. This constant pessimism creates a barrier between you and those around you. People start to associate your presence with stress and discomfort, and they may begin to avoid you altogether. You might think you're just being real or venting, but in reality, you're pushing people away because no one wants to feel weighed down by someone else's constant gloom. But the impact of negativity goes beyond just pushing people away. It also limits your own growth and happiness. When you're always stuck in a negative mindset, you overlook opportunities and solutions because you're too busy focusing on the problems. This creates a vicious cycle. Your negative outlook leads to negative experiences, which reinforce your negative thinking. So, how do you break free from this cycle? The answer lies in shifting your focus. Instead of obsessing over what's going wrong, start looking for what's going right. Practice gratitude, even for the smallest things: a sunny day, a warm cup of coffee, a kind word from a stranger. These little moments of appreciation can shift your entire mindset. When you start recognizing the good around you, your energy changes. You become a source of light, someone people want to be around because you uplift rather than drain them. This doesn't mean you have to ignore life's challenges or pretend everything is perfect. It's about balancing your perspective. Acknowledge the struggles, but don't let them consume you. By focusing on what you can learn from a situation or how you can grow from it, you not only improve your own mental state, but also become a positive influence on those around you. So, the next time you catch yourself falling into a negative pattern, pause and ask yourself, is this helping me? Is this helping those around me? If the answer is no, then it's time to shift your focus. Remember, you have the power to be the bright spot in someone's day, to be the person people look forward to seeing, not the one they dread. Your mindset shapes your reality, and it also shapes how others perceive you. Choose positivity and watch how your relationships and your life transform. 2. You don't listen. Think back to a moment when someone genuinely listened to you, when they gave you their full attention, nodded in understanding, and made you feel like your words truly mattered. It's a powerful feeling, isn't it? It's as if, in that moment, you're seen, heard, and validated. This is what real connection feels like. Now, imagine if you could make others feel this way too. Unfortunately, most of us are often too preoccupied with our own thoughts to truly listen. Instead of being present, we're planning our next response, waiting for the perfect moment to jump in with our own stories, or worse, interrupting to steer the conversation back to ourselves. It's like we're physically there, but mentally somewhere else. This behavior sends a clear message. I'm not really interested in what you're saying. What I have to say is more important. and this can make others feel disregarded and undervalued. When people don't feel listened to, they start to withdraw. They stop sharing their thoughts, emotions, and experiences because they feel like no one cares. This is how relationships, whether with friends, family, or colleagues, begin to deteriorate. You may think you're just being engaged in the conversation, but in reality, you're building walls instead of bridges. Active listening is more than just hearing words. It's about truly understanding and responding to what's being said. It means putting aside distractions, maintaining eye contact, and showing genuine interest. Nod, ask follow-up questions, and reflect on what the other person is saying. This shows that you value their perspective and are fully engaged in the moment. When people feel heard, they open up more, trust you more, and the bond between you grows stronger. But it's not just about them, it's about you too. By becoming a better listener, you'll notice a profound shift in your own life. You'll start to see the depth in conversations you once thought were shallow. You'll learn new things about people you've known for years. You'll build stronger, more meaningful connections that are based on mutual respect and understanding. So, the next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to jump in with your own thoughts. Instead, focus on what's being said. Be present. Ask yourself, am I really listening, or am I just waiting to talk? If it's the latter, take a step back and shift your mindset. When you listen actively and sincerely, you're not just hearing words, you're building trust, respect, and deeper relationships. And that's something everyone values. 3. You lack confidence. Lack of confidence is like an invisible barrier that keeps you from connecting deeply with others. It's not something you can hide. People can sense it in the way you speak, the way you carry yourself, and even in the way you react to situations. When you doubt yourself, it sends a message that you're unsure, insecure, and possibly even unreliable. And this has a profound impact on how others perceive and interact with you. Think about it. When someone is confident, they walk into a room and instantly command attention. Not because they're loud or boastful, but because they're comfortable in their own skin. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about accepting yourself as you are, flaws and all. On the other hand, if you're constantly second-guessing yourself, apologizing excessively, or seeking approval, it's like putting up a giant sign that says, "I don't trust myself, so why should you?" This can make you come across as needy, clingy, or even untrustworthy. It's not just about how you see yourself. It's about how you make others feel. If you lack confidence, people may find it hard to rely on you or believe in your abilities. They may feel uncomfortable around you because your insecurity puts them on edge. It's like walking on eggshells, never knowing if you're going to break down or take things the wrong way. This can push people away, even if they genuinely like you. Building confidence isn't a quick fix. It's a journey that requires patience and self-awareness. Start by recognizing your strengths and accomplishments, no matter how small they seem. Celebrate your wins and learn from your losses without tearing yourself down. Confidence isn't about never making mistakes. It's about knowing that you're capable of handling whatever comes your way. One powerful way to build confidence is to stop comparing yourself to others. We often fall into the trap of measuring our worth against other people's successes, which only fuels insecurity. Instead, focus on your own growth and progress. Understand that everyone's path is different and your journey is uniquely yours. When you embrace your individuality, you start to see your own value. Another crucial step is to practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding that you would offer a friend. When you catch yourself in a spiral of negative self-talk, pause and ask, would I say this to someone I care about? If the answer is no, then don't say it to yourself. Replace harsh criticism with constructive feedback and encouragement. As you begin to build your confidence, you'll notice a change not just in how you feel, but also in how others respond to you. People are drawn to those who are self-assured because it creates a sense of safety and trust. When you believe in yourself, others are more likely to believe in you too. So start today. Embrace who you are with all your imperfections and strengths. Stand tall, speak clearly, and don't be afraid to take up space. Your confidence will not only transform the way others see you, but it will also transform the way you see yourself. And that's the kind of magnetic energy that people can't help but be drawn to. 4. You're inauthentic. Have you ever felt like someone was putting on a mask, trying too hard to be something they're not? It's uncomfortable, isn't it? You can sense that something's off, that the person in front of you isn't showing their true self. This is what happens when we're inauthentic, whether we're pretending to be someone we're not to fit in or hiding parts of ourselves out of fear of judgment. And people can always tell, even if they can't pinpoint exactly what's wrong. This disconnect makes it difficult for others to trust and connect with you. Authenticity is the foundation of genuine relationships. When you're authentic, you're not trying to conform to someone else's expectations or molding yourself into what you think others want to see. You're just being you with all your unique traits, opinions, and flaws. This honesty is incredibly powerful because it invites others to do the same. It says, "This is who I am, and I'm okay with that," which gives others the courage to be themselves around you as well. On the flip side, when you're not being authentic, when you're constantly putting on a facade, it creates a sense of distrust. People start to wonder if they're hiding this. What else are they hiding? It's hard to build a real connection when there's always a question mark hanging in the air. This can lead to superficial relationships where interactions feel forced and lacking in depth. No one wants to be around someone they feel is constantly pretending because it feels like you're interacting with a shadow rather than a real person. Inauthenticity also affects you internally. When you're constantly pretending, you're living in a state of anxiety and fear. Fear of being found out, fear of not being accepted, fear of rejection. Fear of rejection. This constant act drains your energy and keeps you from being truly happy and at peace with yourself. Over time, it can erode your sense of identity because you're so used to playing a role that you forget who you really are. The irony is that in trying to be what we think others want, we end up pushing people away. The truth is, people are drawn to those who are comfortable in their own skin. It's not about being perfect. It's about being real. When you're authentic, you give people something to connect with, a real person with genuine emotions and unique experiences. So how do you embrace authenticity? Start by recognizing when you're putting up a front. Notice the situations or people that make you feel like you have to be someone you're not. Ask yourself why you're doing it. Are you afraid of not being liked? Are you trying to impress someone? Once you understand the root cause, you can start to let go of these behaviors. Practice being honest even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Speak your truth, share your opinions, and don't be afraid to show your quirks or vulnerabilities. Authenticity doesn't mean sharing everything with everyone, but it does mean being true to yourself in every situation. When you're genuine, you'll attract people who appreciate and accept you for who you are, and those are the relationships that truly matter. Embrace your uniqueness. It's your quirks and imperfections that make you who you are. Trying to fit into a mold not only limits you, but also robs the world of your true essence. When you show up as your authentic self, you invite others to do the same, creating deeper, more meaningful connections. In the end, authenticity is about courage. The courage to be seen, to be known, and to be accepted for who you truly are. It's about letting go of the fear of judgment and embracing the freedom that comes from being real. And when you live authentically, you'll find that people are naturally drawn to you because realness is something everyone craves, but few people dare to show. 5. You're too self-absorbed. Imagine you're in a conversation, but no matter what you say, the other person always brings it back to themselves. You share something personal and they immediately start talking about their own experiences, their own problems, their own life. It feels like you're just a prop in their story, right? This is what it feels like to be around someone who's too self-absorbed. When every conversation revolves around you, it sends a clear message to others. Their thoughts, feelings, and experiences don't matter. This behavior can be a huge turnoff and can leave others feeling ignored, undervalued, and even frustrated. People naturally want to feel seen and heard. When you dominate conversations with your own stories and concerns, you're effectively shutting down any opportunity for meaningful dialogue. You're creating a one-sided interaction where others feel like they're merely an audience to your monologue. This can make people withdraw and avoid you because nobody wants to be around someone who only talks about themselves. Being self-absorbed doesn't always come from a place of arrogance. Sometimes it's rooted in insecurity or a deep need for validation. You might be sharing your achievements to seek approval or discussing your problems to gain sympathy. But regardless of the intention, the effect is the same. It alienates people. They start to feel like they don't matter to you, and that's a sure way to weaken relationships. Healthy relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. It's about give and take, not take and take. If you find yourself always steering the conversation back to you, it's time to pause and reassess. Ask yourself, am I really engaging with the other person, or am I just waiting for my turn to speak? A simple yet powerful way to shift this dynamic is by showing genuine interest in others. Make it a habit to ask open-ended questions about their lives, their feelings, and their thoughts. Listen actively without immediately relating it back to your own experiences. Show empathy and validate their feelings. This doesn't mean you have to suppress your own needs or never talk about yourself, but rather find a balance. Be present in the moment and engage with what the other person is sharing. Remember, being interested is more important than being interesting. When you take the time to truly engage with others, they feel valued and respected. This strengthens your relationships and makes people more likely to seek your company. They'll see you as someone who cares, not just about their own life, but about the lives of those around them. It's also important to be mindful of nonverbal cues. Pay attention to body language and facial expressions. Are they leaning in, nodding and making eye contact? Or do they seem distant, checking their phone or looking away? These are signs that can tell you if the conversation is balanced or if you're dominating it. Being self-aware is key. Reflect on past interactions and notice if you've been monopolizing the conversation. If so, acknowledge it and commit to changing. The goal is to be someone who enriches conversations, not someone who drains them. Ultimately, when you step out of the spotlight and make room for others, you create space for genuine connections to flourish. People will feel more comfortable around you, more valued, and more willing to share their own stories. And when you make others feel like they matter, you'll find that your presence is appreciated and sought after. So next time you're in a conversation, take a step back. Listen more, ask questions, and focus on making the other person feel heard and understood. It's a small change, but it can have a huge impact on your relationships and how people perceive you. When you stop making everything about you, you'll find that people will naturally be drawn to you because everyone loves being around someone who truly cares. 6. You have a judgmental attitude. Have you ever been around someone who seems to have a negative opinion about everything and everyone? Someone who's quick to point out flaws, criticize choices, or dismiss opinions that don't match their own. It's exhausting, right? This is what happens when you have a judgmental attitude. Instead of building connections, you create barriers that push people away. Judgment creates walls, not bridges, and it can make others feel unwelcome, misunderstood, and even attacked. When you're judgmental, you're essentially telling people that they're not good enough, that their choices, beliefs, or appearance somehow fall short of your standards. This makes people feel unsafe around you, as if they're walking on eggshells. afraid of being criticized or ridiculed for simply being themselves. It's no surprise that they might start to avoid you, because no one wants to be around someone who constantly looks down on them. Having a judgmental attitude often stems from insecurity or fear. Sometimes we judge others to feel better about ourselves, to create a sense of superiority, or to avoid looking at our own shortcomings. But this kind of mindset doesn't just harm others, it harms you too. It keeps you trapped in a narrow perspective where you're more focused on what's wrong with others than on what's right with yourself. Approaching people with curiosity and openness instead of judgment can be life-changing. Imagine how much richer your relationships could be if, instead of dismissing someone's choices or beliefs, you tried to understand where they're coming from. Everyone has their own story, their own struggles, and their own reasons for being who they are. When you shift from a mindset of criticism to one of compassion, you create a space where genuine connections can grow. Being non-judgmental doesn't mean you have to agree with everything or condone behavior you don't like. It simply means respecting people's right to be who they are and to make their own choices. It's about accepting that everyone is on their own unique journey, with their own lessons to learn and experiences to go through. You don't have to like or understand every decision someone makes, but you can still choose to approach them with kindness and respect. Think of the last time someone judged you harshly. How did it make you feel? Probably small, defensive, and hurt. Now think of a time when someone accepted you as you are, flaws and all. That feeling of being seen and valued is what draws people together. It's what makes them feel safe enough to open up and share more of themselves with you. This is the power of a non-judgmental attitude. If you find yourself being judgmental, start by noticing your thoughts. Are you quick to criticize someone's appearance, lifestyle, or opinions? When these thoughts arise, take a step back and ask yourself, why do I feel the need to judge? Often, you'll find that it has more to do with your own insecurities or discomfort than with the other person. Recognizing this is the first step towards change. Practice empathy by putting yourself in others' shoes. Imagine what it's like to walk their path, face their challenges, and live their experiences. This will help you see them as human beings with their own struggles and strengths, rather than as targets for criticism. Remember, everyone is doing the best they can with what they have, and sometimes what they need most is understanding, not judgment. When you let go of judgment, you open yourself up to new perspectives and deeper relationships. You become someone people feel comfortable around, someone they can trust and confide in without fear of being criticized. And as you create a more accepting space for others, you'll find that you also start to feel more at peace with yourself. Ultimately, being non-judgmental is about kindness towards others and towards yourself. It's about recognizing that we're all imperfect, all struggling in our own ways, and that what we need most is not judgment, but compassion. So next time you feel the urge to judge, pause and choose to be curious instead. Ask questions, listen, and try to see the world through someone else's eyes. This simple shift can transform not only your relationships, but also the way you experience the world. And in the process, you'll find that people are much more drawn to someone who builds bridges, not walls. 7. You don't respect boundaries. Think about the last time someone crossed your personal boundaries. Maybe they bombarded you with messages when you needed space, invaded your privacy, or made demands on your time that you weren't comfortable with. It probably left you feeling overwhelmed, disrespected, and maybe even resentful. That's the impact of not respecting boundaries, and it can quickly erode trust and push people away. Boundaries are like invisible lines that define where one person ends and another begins. They protect our emotional and mental well-being by setting limits on what we're comfortable with in our interactions. When someone disrespects these lines, whether by being too clingy, overstepping personal space, or disregarding others' needs for time and privacy, it can feel suffocating and invasive. It sends the message that you don't value their autonomy, that their feelings and preferences don't matter. Being overly clingy or demanding of someone's time and attention, for example, can come off as desperate or controlling. If you're constantly texting, calling, or wanting to be around someone without considering their own need for space, you're crossing a boundary that can cause them to pull away. People need room to breathe, to process, and to just be by themselves sometimes. When you fail to give them that, you risk smothering the relationship. On the other hand, being invasive, like prying into personal matters that someone hasn't shared with you or showing up unannounced, can make people feel exposed and uncomfortable. It's important to remember that everyone has the right to their privacy and personal space. Even well-intentioned acts can be seen as boundary violations if they're not welcome. For example, offering unsolicited advice or trying to solve someone's problems without their request can feel intrusive, as if you're undermining their ability to handle their own life. Respecting boundaries is about understanding that every person has their own comfort zone and respecting it, even if it's different from yours. If someone sets a boundary, it's not about you. It's about what they need to feel safe and respected. For example, if a friend asks for time alone after a stressful day, it's not a rejection of you, but a way for them to recharge. Honoring this request shows that you care about their well-being. So, how do you recognize and respect boundaries effectively? Start by paying attention to cues, both verbal and nonverbal. If someone seems hesitant or pulls back when you bring up a certain topic, that's a sign they're not comfortable discussing it. If they decline an invitation or don't respond immediately to your messages, they might need some time and space. Respect that without taking it personally. Communication is also key. If you're unsure about someone's boundaries, ask. A simple, "Is this okay with you?" or "Do you need some time alone?" can go a long way in showing that you're mindful and considerate. This not only prevents you from crossing lines but also fosters trust, because people feel safer knowing you respect their limits. It's also crucial to set and respect your own boundaries. If you're constantly sacrificing your own comfort to please others, you might become resentful or burned out, which can lead to unhealthy dynamics in your relationships. Boundaries are a two-way street. When you respect others' boundaries, you set a precedent for them to respect yours too. Moreover, respecting boundaries doesn't mean you have to be distant or detached. It simply means being mindful of the other person's needs and not pushing them beyond their comfort zone. It's about striking a balance between closeness and independence, between being supportive and giving space. When you show that you're willing to step back when needed, people will feel more secure and valued in their relationship with you. Over time, respecting boundaries becomes a natural part of your interactions. You'll notice that people are more open, more trusting, and more comfortable around you. They'll appreciate your ability to give them the space they need without them having to constantly enforce their limits. In the end, respecting boundaries is about creating a healthy, balanced relationship where both parties feel valued and understood. It's about recognizing that everyone has their own needs and preferences and honoring them. So, next time you're in a situation where you're unsure about someone's boundaries, pause and ask yourself, am I respecting their space, their time, and their comfort? If the answer is no, step back and adjust your approach. By doing this, you're not just respecting boundaries, you're building stronger, more meaningful connections with those around you. In conclusion, recognizing these behaviors isn't easy. It's a hard pill to swallow. But the beauty of it is, once you see where you might be going wrong, you can start making changes that will transform your interactions and ultimately your life. Remember, it's never too late to become a better version of yourself. People will begin to see and appreciate the real you, a person worth knowing and being around. Thank you for watching. If this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who might need to hear these truths today. See you in the next video.